So I'm going to replace this water pump on this Briggs & Stratton Troy-Bilt Lowe's bought pressure washer, and I think the date is about 2003. I'm sure that's about right. So you know, it lasted a pretty long time. I really don't have any problems. So anyway, when you go to Troy-Bilt, they're pretty much Briggs & Stratton now. I believe Briggs & Stratton bought them. But anyway, I have some issues. There's like 3 of these pumps available. So what you have to do is you have to line up the engine drain hole. So this leg can be over here or it can be over here. And it's a difference between an EZ and an EZ2. And like the one that's over here is a little bit more expensive. I'll show you on Amazon. I'll take a screenshot of the picture. But anyway, that is really the biggest problem, is trying to figure out, you know, what pump you need. On the top side of these 3 bolts right here, the water is just flying out. I took it apart, I messed with it a little bit. I played around with the adjusters, and it's not an adjuster. Anyway, I played around with these guys and tried to get it working. It wouldn't work, so there's something going on in here which I may or may not take apart and figure out. It doesn't really matter. It's just easier to replace the whole thing. So what I'm going to have to do is I don't have to drill this out, but I think I'm going to drill out the rivets that hold this bucket on. Let's see, zoom out here. I think I'm going to drill the rivets that hold this bucket on and put bolts in its place, and that way I can access this area easier to change the oil in the motor and whatnot. So anyway, yeah, it's all kind of riveted together. You can see there's a rivet right there. Like that, zoom in. The rivet is right here. Didn't even zoom in correctly. But anyway, so go ahead and replace this. Now, what they don't show, I saw a couple videos on YouTube, and so what's going on here is this. I took the bolts out, which are also the engine mounting bolts, but it won't come off. And on YouTube, the guy just takes it out of the way. So I am going to spray some lubricant on there, some liquid wrench or whatever I have, and to help unstick that shaft from the engine to the pump. And while it's working its magic, I'm going to order the part. So in case you didn't know about rivets, you just kind of drill out the centerpiece, and then you can drive them out. You can either hit it on the other side or pull on it or pry it out, and that's pretty much all it's going to take. Alright, so as you can see with the bucket out of the way, the soap bucket or whatever that thing is, I can have access to the pump, and I can hose down the connection there with some liquid wrench and try and break that loose, because it's definitely not coming off of there. Alright, so I'm going to take my penetrating oil and just hose it up in there and get that thing soaking. Sorry I didn't show it, but I just took my pry bar and just kind of, you know, just kind of banged it and wiggled it, and it fell right off. Also, I took the bottom off just to give me some more room. I mean, it was just 3 screws that held this on, you know, so I just took them out. And apparently the problem is, you know, right in here somewhere. It's just water is just spraying out of here. I mean, these guys fit on here, and I don't know. I'm not going to reverse engineer it and figure out what's wrong. Don't care. One other thing too, I saw just this part for sale, but for the same amount of money, I don't know, $5 more, $10 more, I don't know. I'll take a picture of it and show you. I got the whole thing. So, I mean, ooh, you can see my penetrating oil on here. So, and there's a key. I'll have to make sure I get the key, make sure it's still on the motor, or otherwise ready for use on the new part, if the new part doesn't come with a key. Alright, key's on the motor, so I'm just going to leave it there until the new part comes in a couple days. You know, I'm doing Amazon Prime. I think this was a Prime purchase. It's going to be here, ordered on Monday, it's going to be here on a Thursday. So that's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and pull the plug and drain the oil. I don't know how old it is, but fresh oil never hurts. Alright, I could put a couple of the motor mount bolts in there. They're loose, you know, because of the pump space, but it's just to keep it from rotating so that I can undo the drain plug there. And in case you didn't know, you don't even need a socket. You can just use the 3/8 inch extension or 3/8 inch ratchet if you can get it up in there to get the drain bolt out, and I'll show you that when I pull it. So as you can see, any 3/8 inch size ratchet, extension, whatever, will fit up into the oil drain plug. Alright, plug's back in. I'll oil it back up when I get it on the ground after I put the new pump in, make sure everything's okay there. Okay, new part's in. Let's take a look at it, see what we got. Here's our new part. Having said that, I think I found out what was wrong with the old one, but that's kind of irrelevant now. I'm going to put on the new one. Oh, look, they gave me some new hose. That's real nice. Okay, first things first, we're going to orient them in such a way to make sure that the drain plug hole for the motor is in the same place, so everything appears to be the same. Alright, there's the new tag, and here is the old one, so they are the same. SRMW 2.2 G26. And there we go. Next is, I think I found my problem. You see that screen right there? Well, here is the screen in the old pump, and looks pretty clogged to me. There's even some damage right there. I didn't even damage it getting out. That was, I don't know, pretty much always there. Damaged later. Putting the hose on. I don't know. But I bet you that was my problem. But, doesn't matter. I'm going to put a new pump on there. It's 2003. Good enough. Okay, this is pretty much very easy to figure out. The hoses are going to go into the front. The lines for the hoses are going to go into the front. And I confirmed that my engine drain plug is right there when I install it. So let's put it in place. Alright, there's several ways to get this in there, but there it is, and I will start my bolts and put the nut on top of it just to hold it temporarily. Okay, so I just pulled the cord to orient the key to where it is on the pump right over here, so I don't have to mount it and then turn it too much. Alright, got the first bolt in. Requires a little nut right here. I'll tighten them all down once I get all three of them started to make sure everything's lined up correctly. Alright, I have my 6mm Allen that I'm going to screw the bolt with, and my 13mm wrench to hold the nut. So it's going to kind of look like this in three locations. Here, let me get this started here. the other locations aren't as accessible as this one is. So on the other locations I'll probably have to hold the open end and tighten it down with the Allen. Alright, we are back together, so all I need is fuel and oil, the correct amounts, and I will top those off, and then we will do a test run, and I will film that in the morning. I don't know if the camera picked that up, but we got some thunder going on. So in my case, you know, water was just flying out of these spots here. I guess that's where the pressure relief is. I thought there was 3 of them. But anyway, water was just pouring out between the pump and the actuator here because this guy was clogged up. Although, you know, if you don't pull the trigger and the engine's running, it's supposed to, you know, be okay. But nonetheless, it was all plugged up in there, and I didn't take anything apart. I didn't take these apart. I didn't investigate anything. Don't care. Alright, I'm all gassed up, fuel and oil. So I'm going to start it dry, let it run just for a second, kill it, and then tomorrow, after the thunderstorm, I'll hook up the hose and see if everything works okay. Yeah, big thunderstorm. So anyway, I'll hook the hose up and get it started and make sure it works in the morning. Alright, we're all hooked up, ready to go. I got the pressure on. I have a little valve there at the end that I'll flip to get the pressure to the pump. You'll see some water on the ground. That was my fault. That was hooking up the hose. But anyway, I'm going to start it up and test it.